morning, guys. Welcome to Words from a Friend podcast. I'm your host, Marty Carey, and this is the podcast that follows my book, Words from a Friend, a daily guide to a purposeful life. It's available at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. We're on a 365-day inner journey together. So grateful to have you along. We are on day 70. Day 70 already. Wow. Today's message is the blame game. The blame game. Well, we all know this one. Boy, do we ever. Our ego. That's what it's about. Our ego never wants to take responsibility for itself, ever. Does not like accountability at all. Prefer to blame, prefer to punish others, prefer to divert attention elsewhere, right? But it's only in taking account for ourselves and responsibility for our ship that we get it into ship shape. And now we have the power. We're connected to our true power. True power is taking account for you. That's where your true power is. It is right in here, baby. Taking account for what's in here and working on it as your personal project every day. Little bits all the time. Recognizing in the present moment what your ego is doing at all times, what your mind is, where your mind is. That's mindfulness. Where's your mind? Because your mind is going to dictate your energy, and your energy is going to dictate your words and your actions. So once you become, you know what, the creator in every way, you know that you're the creator. Well, then blame isn't going to be part of your life anymore. You're going to take account, just going to take account for your part and do it well. And do it well, right? In the eyes of the light, that's doing it well. The eyes of the ego is where we start lying and making excuses and blame and anything to push it off, right? But it's only in taking account and getting rid of that stuff that we grow. That's where we grow, by actually doing it. We all, probably the most popular game on the planet and the one that cuts the deepest, destroying relationships instead of nurturing them. We all know this face of blame. It seeks its victim first and asks questions later, or not at all, right? Blame is seen every day, and many times we ourselves are pointing the finger, right? It's them, it's not me. Well, maybe, but if it is you, okay, then there's your work for that day. Take account, apologize if that's what needs to be, or whatever it is. But that's where your character is built. And being honest about yourself and in yourself, and then wielding that honesty as just your way forward so people can trust your word. People can trust being around you, and people can trust your energy and feel safe in it. Okay? But if you're out blaming everybody else all the time and never taking account, well, clearly, who am I taking my advice from? Who am I getting close to? Right? Somebody that doesn't take account for themselves. Well, it's about when you learn to take account for yourself and stop blaming others for everything. You're basically just saying, I am hoeing a better garden. Hoeing a better garden from here forward. I need not be fake in any form. Humble truth. Humble truth. Beats it every time. We all know the face of blame. Most have been conditioned to use blame as the first line of thinking instead of first trying to find a solution or quick resolution to an issue or problem. We find ourselves in the role of hunter, looking for our prey. Solving the issue is secondary or even not the main focus. The guilty verdict needs to be assigned, and the guillotine must fall first in order to have satisfaction. There's the blame. You let those blame guns come out, and then you realize that you were wrong. Woo! Or you didn't take account for some part of it. Man, that's just garbage coming back around. It's garbage. Garbage out. Garbage coming back to your door. Right? We find ourselves in the role of hunter looking for prey. The guilty verdict needs to be assigned. Who did this? Where's so-and-so? I'm pissed and everybody's going to know about it and pay for it. Sound like somebody we know? Well, we've all been in this position. Sometimes it's to cover our own tails because we don't want to take responsibility for our part in something. Or we have a domineering role that we play. And the ego is at the helm. Dominating, controlling, cogs, that. No. Much better way for you to live in, if that's where you are. Much better way for you to walk in. so that you can live a better life and not have to be, screaming and yelling and blaming and deflecting all the time because you really haven't taken account for some things that need to be taken account for, right? Take account for your ego. That's it. Take account for that. Be responsible. That's being responsible for what you admit to the world. But most important, what you immerse yourself in every day, what you're teaching yourself, what you're allowing in your house to live there. You got some old tenets that need to go. Some old ideas, some old beliefs about yourself, some old wounds that you just haven't healed yet because you're not loving yourself. You're just, you're blaming. Blaming others isn't gonna do anything to heal yourself. You got to let that crap go. You got to let it go. That's where all the regret lives, and that's where all the bitterness lives, and all the old anger that you're still storing in there, for some, hoarder of negativity reason. It's not going to make your life any better. In fact, it's just going to keep you low. It's just low, heavy weights. Low, heavy weights we hold on to, right? We have to learn to detach from those. Detach and let them just float away into space. Let God take care of those. Let God take care of that stuff. You don't need to be vengeful in your mind. You don't need to have hate in your mind, because of what somebody did to you at all. You can let it go and just live in your light. You can. And there you go. And that's the journey. That's the inner journey, is to see what the world has had its day with us in and saying no more of that. I am now the master of myself, of my mindset, because I have committed to the mastery of the universe, of God, God's mastery, what God has in mind for me when saying yes to the good things, saying yes to the positive, saying yes to growing in the light instead of still hanging around in dark places, inside, in those old emotions that are stuck and need to move through you and out of you. Okay, that's the work we're doing every day. It's just remembering that none of this has to stay. The old stuff is just be sloughed off like the snake skin of last year. Remember, you're on the fire horse this year. This is the year of the fire horse. Giddy up. Your fire inside. That fire, you can redirect that fire of anger, and you can redirect that fire into purpose. You can redirect that fire of jealousy and envy, and you can redirect that and reposition it and shift it into the fire of purpose. Purpose, determination, upward motion, living in your higher consciousness as your way, as the way. Because then it just unfolds from there. It gets better for you from there. Because, like I said before, better thoughts live in there. The true belief of you lives in there. The true mirror of you. God is the true mirror of you. Your best self, your shiniest self. God is the mirror of that. Growing up and going to Catholic church, and you go in there and it's kind of like, oh man, lightning could strike me at any time, and I just had not a good sense of what it was all about growing up. I didn't, because it was fear God and fear this and fear that and fear, it's a lot of dogma out there about God. Just using his name, people are like, oh my God, he's a holy roller. No, it's not about being a holy roller. It's about being whole. And your holy self, the one that is your forever self, your light self, that's holy rolling. It's rolling in your best way. That's what holy rolling is. It's not that you're not a swearing son of a bitch from Troy. That doesn't lead you, right? You use that in a better way. Comedic purposes. That's the best way, right? You transmute the crap into gold, and you move forward in that, because that's God's way. That's the way of the light. It's the way of the light. It renews, like spring is renewing right now. Spring renews us all. We come out of that ugly, long-ass winter, and we move back into the light. Well, that's what we're doing all the time. That's like the seasons of our life. The times we go through, the tunnels we go through are like these winters. We don't think we're ever going to come out of it, and then all of a sudden we start rising in the temperature, rising in ourselves. We start feeling better. The weather's nicer. We see the sun, right? We feel it. It's the same thing with your energy. You have control of that. You have control of that. Even on the dark days, you can be sunny on the dark days when you've taken control of yourself. Okay, you be the sun for yourself, and then you just radiate that for others. And that's how we help each other. That's how we help each other to remember who we really are. Okay? And that's what we want to do. The blame game has no part in that. The blame game takes you out of that. It's outside of that line. I'm out here blaming. I'm not taking account. In here, it's like, hey, I'm sorry. I was such a jackass there. I'm sorry. Okay, how hard is that? And then once you do that in earnest, you free yourself. You know how to free yourself at all times from your own ego. And when you inflict it onto somebody else, you know, that's what you take account for. You take account for your ego. Okay? You don't let yourself get so far out there that you've lost yourself. That's the path. The path that God says, walk with me. You know, it's a better way. You know, here, listen to my answers. Listen to my answers. That's where we say every day, give yourself that time. Because if you're just living in the monkey mind and the matrix all the time, you can't hear it. Can't hear it. It's too much noise. Too much noise. Blame is loud and creates a lot of that noise. Always remember that to cast stones of blame, we must always look in the mirror first to see when and where we may have done similar offenses. I assure you have. Haven't we all? Want to blame each other to protect ourselves, and because we don't want to admit we're wrong, because they never admit they're wrong, right? You don't admit you're wrong because they never admit they're wrong. Well, there you go. But you're living in your shelf. You should have the character. Doesn't matter if they admit it. Doesn't matter if they forgive. Doesn't matter if they forget. You forgive. You admit. That's your character you're building. That's your character. And the other person will walk away and, you know, you walk away going, I've done my best. I've done my best God's work right there. My best light work. I've just done it. Okay? And, you know, the other person who is not ready to admit that or not ready to take account, don't think they didn't notice that. Don't think they didn't see that. Even if they're still not ready to take account, they're like, oh, he's weak. He apologizes. He's weak. He forgives and forgets. That's weakness. Yeah. He's like, is it really? Is it really, or is it freedom? Is it freedom, my friend? It's freedom. It's freedom from that nasty-ass ego. It's freedom. You know, we're not creating our own suffering all the time. We've learned to wield our best self, and in turn, that's what returns to our doorstep. Okay? That's what returns to our doorstep is, you know, the course that you've decided to take. The way out of living a life with a very pointy finger is to recognize that when we do something wrong and we feel the wrath of blame coming at us, what we really want is forgiveness and understanding, not condemnation, right? The punitive mindset, right? If you're always, okay, you're so quick to blame when somebody does something wrong because, you know, they point it out in you. Well, that's where the Bickersons start. That's where you're living the life of the Bickersons, pointing out constantly each other's flaws and wrongdoings and blah, 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 and garbage, right? What do you want? What do you really want? You know, have you gotten really sharp at being a good bickerer or a great arguer? Great. Become an attorney. Get paid for it at least, but at home, you want peace. At home, you want harmony. Okay, well, you got to be it. And when the other person recognizes you're not playing the game anymore, and they don't have to play the game anymore, that's where peace enters your home. That's where peace enters your home. You're saying no more unnecessary squabbling. I want the best for you. I'm going to point out the best in you now. And I want you to point out and notice the best in me. And in any relationship, that's what we're doing. We're pouring our gold into each other. It's pointing out the good things. Because we're constantly, you know, wanting to defend by offending. First, kill or be killed, right? But, you know, if you've been friends forever, you can do that. But if you don't, and you're just doing it because you think that's one size fits all, it is not. It is not. So recognize that. Recognize that what you're blaming somebody else for, you've probably done yourself. And just because you're sitting out of it and you've changed yourself from it, doesn't mean you're sitting on a higher perch to look down on that person. It does not. In fact, the opposite is needed to keep yourself free. Help that person up if you can. Send them a silent blessing if you can. It's the same thing. Your mind is putting light out into the world. And that is energy. Your thoughts are energy. You're not your thoughts, but they are energy. And you choose the right ones to amplify in this world and to become and to share. And that's what we're doing here every day, is a sharing of what's real. Of what's real. You, your light, is the eternal realness of you. The closer you move to it, the closer you understand it, the better life you'll live. Okay? So we are all mistake makers here on earth. Mistake makers. You know, that's also called in religious terms sinners. Sinners, right? Sinners. We're mistake makers. We make mistakes. God knows we're going to make mistakes. It's baked in. It's baked into this system here, this school. It's baked in. God knows we're going to make a million mistakes. Okay? But how do we get ourselves up and not get caught in these mistakes and believing that we are a mistake? You know, believing we are a mistake. It is not true. It is not true. You just haven't found your compass that connects with the light of all it is. It's here. It's right here in your heart. Your true self, baby. Your true self. That's connected. That's connected. You're never disconnected. You can kink it off in disbelief. You can kink it off and going outside and, you know, living a shady life on purpose, you know, or just not on purpose. It's just where you found yourself and you want to do better for yourself and you want to live better for yourself and your kids or goes to come back after you. You may want to leave a whole entire world that you've been living in. Well, you're going to need God's strength to do it. You're going to need God's strength to do it. But don't fear. You have it. You are it. You are it. You prove it to yourself every time you move past that voice of fear. Every single time. That voice says, don't do it. You can't do it. Can't do it. Don't even bother. Shut up. Shut up. Shutting up, rabbit. That's fear. Say it. Shut up. I'm doing it. I'm going. I can do it. And I am going to do it. And then you come out and you go, shit. Look what I just did. Look what I just did. Thank you, God. I'm so grateful for the power, the strength, and the remembrance of who I really am. Boom. Boom shakalaka. That's you. That's you. Rejoice in that knowing. Rejoice. That's the rejoicing. That's the joy of you being your true strength and not the weakness that is fear and not believing in the weakness that is fear. Fear is weak. Love is strong. Right? Love over everything. Faith over fear. Love over everything. Okay. Blame usually has an ugly tone with nasty body language to go along with the side dish. It never feels good, only to your ego, right? You're blaming. Well, shake this off of me. No, it wasn't me. Here's a big fat excuse instead of a big fat, I'm sorry. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I screwed up. Okay? Character building. It is so character building to just, you go, okay, that person has taken account. I don't know, as somebody who has lots of people on our team, you recognize that, you go, okay, all right, good. You, all right, I gotta move you up a little bit. You take account. You take account, and you do well, and you mean to do well, and you mean to have a great outcome every time. Put that person on your team every day. You know, they're conscious in what they're doing, and they're in a service mode. How can I do it? Tell me what's expected, and then I'm going to crush it. Those are the people you want around you. Tell me what's expected, you know, and then your team, you know, even in your life, right? You see what's expected. You know what's expected. Don't be lazy about it, right? Don't be lazy about it. Never, you know, your actions speak so much louder than your words. You know, love has its language. Body language is part of it. You know, affection is a big part of it. Affection. Just common day, everyday, beautiful affection. That's a beautiful love language, right? Make sure you're giving that hug. Hugs are like medicine. It's like the sun. It's like the sun, right? The art of putting yourself in another's position before the ego demands the finger to be pointed and blame to be assigned is your best way forward. Most often, the things we find blame for, we are guilty of ourselves and we refuse to look at it. Just because you have overcome and learned your lesson from your past, still a mistake, does not give you the high ground, right? It doesn't. So recognize that. We're always wanting to be, our ego wants to put us higher than others or lower because we don't feel like we're as good as them for some stupid reason. You are the creator. You're the artist. And you're the clay that you get to mold and shape every day. And you do it with your energy. You do it with your choices, your decisions. Okay? And staying out of the gutter of ego land, of 3D attraction. Right? It's just garbage stuff out. Then you're the magnet for it. What do you want? Walk fine and just being you. Attract to the good stuff because that's what you decide just to give. Whistling Dixie as much as possible. I'm just saying that's the practice. Practice being in faith and trust. And when somebody, isn't taking account, they know they're not taking account. They know they're not. And they have your work to do. They may just not be ready to do it. So you have to realize that too in this world. And you make adjustments accordingly. That's it. Today, the CTA today. Catch yourself before the finger of yours comes out of its holster. The blame guns, right? Check and harken back to when you may have done something similar. Choose to respond with your higher self rather than with your lower ego nature. I promise you that the results will be totally different, and love will have never left the room when you choose the high road. High road isn't easy to choose. It is not easy to choose because our ego wants to just go at it, baby. Wants to go at it all the time. It needs an enemy. Ego needs an enemy to survive. Needs a scapegoat to survive. Needs fear, either like causing it or being in it and believing in it to survive. All right? So starving our ego is taking account for it. Taking account for it when it's gotten in our way and it's gotten in other people's way, and we need to take account for it and apologize. Okay? You just built another brick in your character when you know you needed to, and you did it. And you did it. I'm not saying over-apologize. I'm just saying when you know you screwed up, you better be able to do that or your relationships are doomed. Doomed. Nobody wants to live in El Controloville with nobody apologizing and nobody taking account for what their side of whatever it is, right? Because we all come from different perspectives. We're all going to have our own opinions on stuff. And in relationships, we have to learn to work together, okay? And not be, I remember you did that, and you did this, and you did that, and now you're flaw. Well, you're flaw. We've all been there. Not healthy. Not healthy at all. Destructive. Well, that's the ego. It's a saboteur. We use to defend ourselves. Then it ends up sabotaging a lot of good things. A lot of things that we recognize that, we may have had to leave behind or we may have lost because of our own ignorance to ourself, to our higher self. Our own ignorance. We just didn't know. That's okay. But when you know better, you do better and you choose better because we are daily choice makers. In every moment, we have a choice. High road, low road. The best you can, baby. That's it. Best you can. The best you can. I pulled up on my phone the 4 agreements, and I talk about this sometimes by an author named Don Miguel Ruiz, and he has a book called The 4 Agreements that is a must-have. And because I always say I listen to audiobooks, it was narrated by actor Peter Coyote, and it was great. It's a great listen. It's about the Toltec Indians and how they describe the ego and all this stuff. And like I said, the book is called The 4 Agreements, and these are the 4 agreements. I have time here. Oh, yeah, we're going. Good. We're good. 4 agreements. Number 1, be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love, right? Why wouldn't you? Because that's what you want coming back to your door. Remember, you're a mirror. Okay? Number 2, don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. When you realize that, what others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. We make ourselves the victim when we take things personally. We're taking things from somebody who has another perspective than us. Okay, that's right. We love ourselves. We know ourselves. We know who we are. You don't take anything personally at all. You don't. You realize that's just their projection. Okay? Number 3, don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Assuming. We talked about that the other day. Assumption. It's a killer, baby. It's a killer. You don't know. Make sure you know. Okay? Is it 100% true? Then there's some assumption in there. You better find out. Number 4, always do your best. Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you're healthy as opposed to when you are sick. Okay? You know that. Or when you're tired. Your best is not when you've been out partying all night and you're bringing a crap self to the next day. And you keep that up. Right down the tubes. It'll be different when you're healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. And regret, because you regret you didn't do your best. You regret that you fell on your own accord, by your own accord. You let your ego get the best of you. You let a choice that wasn't for you, that sabotaged you, right? But we get better at choice making when we stick to these agreements. We stick to these agreements and we break old agreements. Okay? So, not that I'm trying to sell other people's books, but I do. Of course I do. That's what I want. That's what I want. Macy's and Gimbels, baby. Macy's and Gimbels. Shop around. It's all good. It's just truth. I just want you to understand the truth of who you are. That's it. That's it. We make a better world that way. We make a better world that way. That's it for today, my friends. Much love and light, and we'll see you tomorrow.